Welcome to Against the Tide, a series of conversations with artists and cultural practitioners who challenge the dominant discourse and the status quo, who push the boundaries of what imagination and can be, and also diversify the idea of what can constitute knowledge around us. I'm Nihal. I work in Mara, and today we're really happy to have our friends from Blue Material over here. It's Manal, Ravi, and Ankur, and I think this has been a long time coming and long time in the making of trying to organize these shows with you guys. And yeah, welcome to Against the Tide and welcome to Mara. I'm really happy that you guys came.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So I mean, more than anything else, I think over the yesterday and when you guys came, we had a chance to have like some conversations around what you guys think about your own sort of show, the comedy, the way it's being looked at, and I think it'd be really cool to share it with everyone here, especially because it's connected to some of the work that we're doing at Mara as well. And I mean, Ankur over here has been part of this work with us from the very beginning in 2019. Kai Boltai, which was a process in Maharashtra, engaging with like what can it look like when people from different backgrounds and communities take up comedy as a medium to share their own stories and crack jokes, make fun and tell whatever they want to share, but through the power of humor. And this is a body of work we've been building and continue to build at Mara in the next few years as well, where the imagination is, can we build this network? Can we find more people? Can we work with collectives like Blue Material and comics like yourself to really push what is this power and this idea around comedy in terms of like telling stories, cracking jokes, and making fun of the things that we find weird around us, but also making jokes at ourselves as well as we go along the way. And yeah, it's very exciting times actually. So I mean, maybe the best place to start would be to ask you guys, why comedy? What got you guys interested in taking the stage, telling people jokes, and like sharing parts of your lives through comedy itself? Any of you guys can go ahead and either.
Yeah. You go first. The ladies first.
I mean, I always was fascinated with like comedy and all, and I started comedy like way before, like in 2018, and I was trying to be relatable. I was doing the kind of jokes that everybody does, and I was like struggling a lot at those times. But then later on, the more comedy I do, I realize that I need to tell people who I am. I need to share my story instead of trying to be relatable so hard. And as a queer Dalit woman, I started doing that, and I gave it a try, and people actually loved it. So that's how it started.
I know, I've enjoyed it. It's great to see your sort of curve with this, because I think when you joined Kai Bolta in itself, I remember conversations we were having about like what does it mean to talk about things from home, and what does it mean to actually find that courage or even that vocabulary to share it, right?
Yeah.
It's been quite interesting.
Yeah, even Kai Boltai helped me out a lot, because I never like thought that I could like travel and tell my story, like the regional story and about me. But then when I was with Kai Boltai, with Mara, that's when I realized, I was like, okay, I can give it a try.
Nice.
Ankur does international comedy also.
Yeah, I know. She does international comedy as well.
That's where the accent is. Accent and all.
It's okay. I also have, my accent also shifts like that. I can't make fun of Ankur. What about you, Ravi? Why comedy for you? How did it happen for you?
It dropped out of college, and then lockdown was there. Nothing to do. I was watching stand-up specials only. For 1-2 I started watching, and then बस binge. एक बार binge में ऐसे ही रहता है ना, एक बार चालू कर दिया तो पता नहीं चलता ना where it's going. वैसा तो बस आई एम वॉचिंग UK US ऐसा एंड देन था कि मतलब ओके दिस इज थोड़ा मस्त मस्त तो है लाइक एंड आई वाज आल्सो डूइंग होस्टिंग एंड ऑल पहले
Right.
बिफोर मतलब बिल्डिंग का इवेंट होता है ना सत्यनारायण महापूजा वो सब तो वो होस्ट विस्ट करने का ऐसा गिव इट अप
Thomas Ganesha is you people host.
वो सब ना गिव इट अप फॉर याशीला 501 रुपये पारितोषिक वो सब हाँ तो होस्टिंग एंड ऑल आई वाज डूइंग एंड देन दिस तो वो तो था देन आई सॉ द थोड़ा फिल्टर्ड वर्जन ऑफ दिस व्हेन आई सॉ स्टैंड अप आई वाज डूइंग होस्टिंग एंड ऑल
Yeah.
होस्टिंग में तो बस यही रहता है देयर इज नो मटेरियल
Yeah.
कि वो टॉकिंग 2-4 पॉइंट रहते हैं टॉकिंग ऐसा उसके ऊपर बात करने का वैसा
Oh, you were putting your one-liners also in between.
हाँ बीच बीच में ऐसा तो आई वाज लाइक अगर वो कर ही रहा था मैं पहले से यार इट्स फन आल्सो आई वाज लाइक वन आई विल गिव इट अ शॉट तो एक था कि लॉकडाउन खत्म हो गया एंड देन आई विल डू एन ओपन माइक ऐसा आई ट्राइड वन एक जूम बट उसमें फील नहीं आया
Right.
हाँ मतलब ऐसा था कि यार इतना शपेल को इतना देखा पटेली मारते हुए वो तो 200 के रूम में पटेली मार रहा है मैं जूम एक घर के अंदर बैठ के क्या पटेली मार रहा हूँ मैं वो वाला पॉइंट नहीं है तो अपन रुकेंगे अपन लॉकडाउन खत्म होने तो रुकेंगे रात में वही हाँ तो स्पॉट किया देने बिस्वा ने एक स्टोरी डाला था इंस्टाग्राम पे कि देयर इज एन ओपन माइक हैपनिंग इन बैंड तो वहाँ पे रजिस्टर किया मैं शोड अप एंड देन वहाँ पे दूसरा कॉमिक्स लोग वाला एक ओ यू डिड अ रिजर्वेशन जो हम लोग सुना ऊपर वी शुड मीट मनाल भी वही सीन में था पहले से द न्यू मनाल
Right.
उन लोगों ने उसका मटेरियल सुने ले 4 साल तक लगातार उन लोगों में लर्न ही हो गया वही तो उन लोग भी बोला कि मीट मनाल है तो आज मनाल को मिला मैं ओपन माइक्स पे 2-3 रैंडम ओपन माइक्स पे मनाल का जो ट्विटर पे अपलोडेड है जो है उसका उस टाइम मैं रूम में ही था जैसा इफ यू ऐसे ध्यान से सुनेगा तो मेरा भी लाफ सुनाई देता जोर जोर का एकदम वो ट्विटर वाले में हाँ तो उस रूम में ही था his girlfriend was recording.
What was the?
Yeah, shout out to your girlfriend. Shout out to your girlfriend. Yeah, she deserves a shout out. Yeah.
What was the first special that got you into it? Like, where did it start? Where did it start?
Which special?
I mean, not the first one. What one was the first one? You were like, हाँ भाई ये तो करना चाहिए.
शपेल ऐसा ये माइकल चे शपेल
Right.
हाँ ऐसा.
Why? What was it that made you? Something.
Yeah. It was cool also. हाँ, it was gangster. It was cool. हाँ, yeah.
Gangster.
Well put. Yeah, it was gangster. Yeah.
What about you, Manal? You've been in this game for a long time, right?
Yeah, I started watching stand-up at 15. Started doing open mics at 17, and basically I saw Russell Peters first, okay, and I saw that he's dating Megan Fox, and I was like, if this guy can fucking date that girl, just by sake of shit, then I should give it a shot, and it's not really worked out.
It's ups and downs,
Yeah,
highs
yeah.
and lows. It has highs and lows.
Yeah.
Majorly, mostly lows.
But what did you find that really connected with you as someone who wanted to create and put things out with the form of comedy in it of itself? Like, what was the thing that?
It was also, I was very introverted, right? So comedy was just a way to. It was like you're a stranger, nobody knows you, and you can pretend to be like the shit in the room or whatever. So,
8 मिनट के लिए तुम ही गैंगस्टर है बाद में वो बाकी का 24 घंटा है सारी जिंदगी जी रहे 8 मिनट तो अपन यार
So yeah, and like basically when you get a laugh, right, you feel very good, and then once you feel that, you don't like what you just want to chase that feeling then.
And you've been chasing that feeling for how many years now?
8 years
8
probably.
years. And Blue Material came into the picture.
2022.
That's when you first had the idea for it, is it?
Yeah. It's not like I've been planning it or something.
Right.
It's just that I had only 25 minutes of material around. I guess he also
15
15, 20. Yeah.
Right.
So like, but so Blue Material, I mean, was basically for us to get extended stage time. Because at open mics you get what 5 minutes, 8 minutes at max.
Mhm.
But with Blue Material, if you put up that show, then he can do 30, I can do 30. Mayur can also do 30, and then Ankur can do.
Nice. So I think blue material as is like the word blue in and of itself has a lot of different sort of meanings, and the way you guys articulate it also within the way you write ups and stuff like that. Maybe you guys could you tell us what does blue actually mean to you guys?
Blue is basically blue comedy is a style of comedy which is about like disgusting comedy, profane things, offensive comedy. That is already a blue thing, like blue comedy. And then like as I understood that blue is also color of Dalits, right? And I'm Dalit, we're all Dalits, so that's why it's like a double play. It's like sex jokes also, and it's like anti-caste jokes also, because Dalits can have sex too.
Yeah, I remember when I was actually looking at the write up that you guys is actually what do you guys also think? How is it the same sort of connection that you guys have with the idea of this blue thing, or is there something else?
If I remember, one of the open mic, initial 2-3 open mics when I was meeting him, ऐसा तो एक कोई तो मैं कुछ तो एक किया तो एक जोक इसमें आके बोलता है भाई क्या मजा आया क्या ऐसा बस कुछ तो ऐसा कुछ तो था वो सम कि क्या स्काई डाइविंग करके बिरयानी खाते खाते लो जाओ ऐसा कुछ तो समथिंग द पंच लाइन वाज दैट, मेरे को जोक भी याद नहीं। हाँ तो वो वाइबिंग तो थोड़ा था कि ऐसा इट्स जस्ट थोड़ा ऐसा सेक्स जोक सा मतलब कुछ तो वही ओके कोई का कर ही लेते शो साथ में।
So like, I think it's really interesting because like when I was going through the write-up, what it says is blue is profanity, is about profane humor. Blue is about the anti-caste movement, and blue is also there's this interesting like this really nice line which you guys write is blue is also the color of the sky under which everything is equal. Yeah.
I read that on the internet. So I put it up there.
But I think it's interesting the way that the idea of putting these all within like a single like a way of describing your show is interesting. And why do you think it's important to have them all together as like a single like as the curation of what blue material is? It's not just about anti-caste.
Yeah.
It's not just about equality, and it's also not just about profanity and sex. It's all of them together within this show. So like, why did you guys feel the need for it all, like to build this show and this sort of idea around it?
मैं ना इसके ऊपर बात किया ऐसा बहुत सारा PhD वाला बंदे के साथ, तो ऐसा एंड में कंक्लूजन हम लोग ऐसा निकला था कि एक टैबू को काटेगा, तो दिस ब्लू सेक्स का बात करना इज ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ टैबू, ये कास्ट वाला भी तो ऐसा हम लोग कंक्लूजन एंड वाला लाइन वो निकला था कि टैबू को काटेगा, तो इट्स ब्लू मटेरियल का वैसे ही सेक्स पार्ट एंड द कास्ट पार्ट इट्स वैसा cancels everything out and then it's everything is equal. सब लोग equal है। हम लोग 90 minutes के बाद सब लोग equal। That's that वैसा।
Nice. So in terms of the material that you guys talk about within the show, like you spoke about a little bit, it's anything ranging from sex to your own identities to your own observations generally about your lives in Bombay, your relationships.
See, by the way,
Yeah.
it's not that much also about sex.
Huh.
But like it's just sex comedy. Anyways, there are sex joke shows, right? Which sell and all, right? So this is just it's a way to attract audiences also.
Yeah.
And then they come here and then they listen to all sorts of things, as you said. Not
Yeah.
just that. Yes.
So like with all of this range of different things, like where do you guys draw all of this material from? Like what are the things that that you're connecting with, or what pushes you to write the material that you're writing today as individual comics but also as a collective? That's what I mean. It's like, for example, for you, like your set that I've seen, like it's about how you look, who you are, but also your life in the very many worlds that you exist in, from like the international Zoom comedy nights to living in B to living at doing work within an NGO as well. Like there's a number of hats that you're putting on constantly. So like how do you pull them, like how are you pulling in your material to develop your set, and how do you make the choices that you make for what do you put in?
I mean, there is like comedy is everywhere. You just have to look for it, and especially with like
Like the poetic Gulzar
I was waiting for them to say something.
अंकुर का मुंह से सब कोटेबल ही निकलता है सब लाइन एक गान मस्ती वाले पे
Like comedy छोड़ के poetry चालू कर दे तो. But yeah, like as a comedian, like you get used to it. You see comedy everywhere, and yeah, there are like lot of things while like I write comedy, when I write stuff. No, there are a lot of like the discrimination things, you know, that made me angry. The anger is still there, so I have to like wait until, you know, I'm like normal and I can write a joke about it. And also we talk about dating and everything, because who said Dalits can't date or don't date, you know? Every other artist talk about their life, their love life or anything, you know, that inspires them. It's same with us. We are artists, we are Dalit artists, and we also have like, you know, relationship problems, we have discrimination problems also.
We have all these problems. We just happen to be Dalit on top of those problems.
Yeah. Sometimes the reason of our problem is because we are Dalit, you know. So yeah, that's.
Do you guys have anything else? Like, how would you like even because each of your sets are also very different, and it's I think also other ways that you guys have spoken about your shows, like the value of it is also the fact that you all come from very different backgrounds in terms of, and number one that pushes the entire idea of like this whole Dalit category is also not like a single thing in the first place, and I think that's what's really interesting about it. So I'd be interested to hear how each of you guys also put together your material, where you guys drawing inspiration from, like.
what my material is around like आसपास का only what immediate observations only. Most of them are immediate observations. Or yeah, my life only. What like I'm fascinated with rap. I have a rap thing, rap bit going. I have stoner thing also going. which is private thing for 30-seater only, not for online videos and all. Yeah, mostly those observations. Now I know.
So even in the morning you said something, no, like fucking poetic. You were like, कि the moment, you know, when we face something, we are like very like sad about it, or you know, we are angry about it. So when we don't have those feelings anymore.
I was मैं ये कल बता रहा था अंकुर को कि you were talking कि how like end में तो यार jokes का वो trauma का ही रहता है ना, trauma से ही वैसा वाला, but there's a बीच में एक healing वाला कि trauma then healing then jokes.
Yeah.
वैसा so हाँ तो वो without healing वैसा वाला.
Nice.
there's बीच में healing, हाँ तो वही बात करते हैं.
I mean, I think what's really interesting, like with comedy, there's different ways that you enter. Number one is that one can look at it as a way of entering from point of entertainment.
Yeah.
You're also looking at it as a point of provocation. Like, I know there's a number of comics, like the guy from the documentary Killing Me, the Killing Joke, right? He always, what's his name, that comic? That Killing Joke wala. He's a black comedian.
Killing joke वाला?
No, fuck, I'm messing up the thing, but
The name of the special?
the name of the special is
Killing
like,
them softly.
Killing Them Softly.
But it's Chappelle only.
No, Chappelle, no. There's another guy, but forget that. But like his entire thing was like, I am writing my jokes to provoke people. Provocation can be laughter, can be anger, can be whatever. But
it's Patrice.
yeah,
Patrice.
Yes. So like, how do you guys get into it? Are you guys interested in like creating some sort of provocation through it? Is it more in some of your interviews you talk about? Actually, it's about for my own sort of journey of healing as well. And or is it also just to build some sort of community around what is the work that you're doing?
I mean, our original idea was not to build a community, but now it's happening, right? Like wherever we go, now we have made friends there with the audience and all, and like they'll help us like put up shows and all also like in Delhi and like now here, and like you know, so I feel like I mean yeah, community now. I mean, कुछ तो like we'll do about it, like basically.
प्रोवोकेशन का सेइंग नो कि व्हाट काइंड ऑफ लाइक प्रोवोकेशन करने के लिए या वो करने के लिए मटेरियल कैसा राइट एंड ऑल तो व्हाट दिस okay wait question again
It's basically like when you write a comedy, when you perform, what's your intention with it? What are you trying to give? What are you putting into it?
वो हाँ तो उसका यही क्वेश्चन था हाँ fuck you अरे बिकॉज इसके बारे में एकदम रिसेंटली एक रियलाइजेशन हुआ था कि मेरे मटेरियल में आई हैव सीन द चेंज मैं पहले व्हाट काइंड ऑफ लाफ आई यूज्ड टू चेज वो अभी मैं मतलब यू गेट बोर्ड एंड देन न्यू टाइप ऑफ लाफ यू चेज वैसे तो वो तो यू शिफ्ट कि फर्स्ट यूर प्लीज आई वॉज प्लीजिंग आई वॉज स्टार्टिंग माई मटेरियल वॉज लाइक ओ आई बी अ टेडी बेयर ऑन स्टेज आई क्यूट लाइक everyone should like me and all रूम के अंदर नाउ इट्स थोड़ा चेंज ऐसा करके
So what does it change to you now?
Gangster.
तो वो चेंज दिखता है एंड इट्स वेरी एविडेंट फटाक से दिख जाता है बिकॉज वो भी रहता है कि व्हेन यू स्टार्ट आउट एज अ कॉमिक स्टार्टिंग का 6 महीना यू प्रिटेंडिंग टू बी अ कॉमिक दैट यू हैव वॉच्ड इतने टाइम से एक साल तुमने शपेल देखा है तो अभी स्टार्टिंग का 6 महीना ऑल्सो योर शपेल होता है बट देन आफ्टर 2 years के एंड में योर रवि गायकवाड़ वैसे तो वो मटेरियल में शिफ्ट यू सी वेरी क्लियर
Is it the same for you as well in terms of how what you're trying to put out on stage?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, as I said, trying to be relatable, trying to do what everybody
ट्राइंग
else
एक्स्ट्रा
is.
हार्ड तूने मेरे को बताया था यू वर ट्राइंग
Yeah.
इनिशियली
Extra hard to
be
do
relatable.
what everyone else is doing, all the other comics, because I was like, yeah, okay, that is working
Yeah.
in comedy industry. But then later on,
आसपास का
Manal-
10 लोग देख के यहाँ भी इंस्पायर
later on, Manal was like too blue material, and I was like, I don't have anything written for blue material kind of story, like a show, because I am doing what everybody else is doing. So he's like, no, just come on board.
And
Let's
now
do
she has a
it.
bunch of caste jokes,
Yeah.
so anti-caste jokes.
yeah
I think it's really interesting because to go back to something that you actually brought up before in terms of finding that sort of way of talking about that through humor. And like it reminds me of like an experience I had when we were doing Kai Bolta itself, where we were in Maharashtra and we were doing a bunch of interviews with different activists, with different like protest singers and people who are connected to the entire movement scene in Maharashtra. And I think we met a very, very, very important and very senior protest musician called Sambhaji Bhagat in Mumbai. And I think we were having a conversation with him about this entire idea of using comedy to talk about experiences of different sort of silenced and marginalized communities, and specifically also like people coming from the Dalit background or people who've gone through a lot of oppression and trauma and things like that. And at that point what he said was like, I don't know how this is going to work. And he's like, I really don't think this is going to work because like, where are people going to find the humor in all of this suffering? How are people going to be able to find the humor and be able to laugh?
in what
in
context
all
did you
of
say
this?
this what context did you say this
In this-
about the
yeah,
The tragedy.
about like the
Okay.
context of like your stories that look at the human people's lives from places that of people are being oppressed.
you guys did the bhadi pa thing that you guys
Yeah, when we were doing that, and he was just someone that we were talking to as a senior person in the scene. And it was something that like really, really stuck with me through the entire journey of the work that I'm doing today also around comedy. Because like for me, and from watching your shows, from watching Manjeet's shows, and from watching the Kai Boltai comics also that came up even at that point, who weren't professional comics at all. For some of them it was the first time they ever saw a comedy set as well. But like, it automatically just challenged that statement and really pushed a new way of talking about those experiences. So I mean, how do you guys think about this? This entire idea of like looking at ideas of trauma, of oppression, of discrimination that you guys may or may not have faced yourselves but or seen around you, but doing it through humor. What is the importance of that for you? How does it work for you guys?
healing only. I told you, this trauma then healing then jokes So I think the thought that Sambhaji had, Sambhaji Bhagat had, कि उस टाइम पे अभी हो गया ना, अभी मतलब अपने को थोड़ा थोड़ा तो अवेयर है कि थेरेपी क्या होता है, ये क्या होता है, हाउ डू यू डील विथ योर ट्रॉमाज एंड, अभी थोड़ा अवेयरनेस तो है, पहले तो नहीं था. इन दैट वर्ल्ड आई वुड इमेजिन एक आदमी को थॉट है कि यार जो कैसे बनेगा इसके ऊपर. हाँ, बट अभी तो इट्स चेंजिंग, मतलब अभी काइंड ऑफ हो तो रहा, कर तो रहा कुछ तो.
And I think, Dalit movement, has always had entertainment in it. Like even like Sambhaji Bhagat, what he does is he sings. He sings about the tragedy and the trauma. I mean, maybe like 50 years ago that might have sounded like impossible. Like how can people sing? Singing is like fun. So like entertainment has always been part of Dalit movement, and talking about like being happy in like the situation. Like I do a lot of NGO work and I meet a lot of people in the village, like women in the village, and they are always smiling. They are always happy, even when they are like, oh, my husband used to always beat me. Even now he gets drunk and he beats me, but they are always smiling while saying this. Even like when we are interviewing them, the cameraman is like, why are they laughing? They are not supposed to laugh. It is very like, how am I supposed to shoot this? But that's how they are. That's how they deal with things, by being happy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, like the entire process that we did in Maharashtra, like, I think half the time we were just laughing, like across the workshops. Even when we had some really, really like very poignant moments where people were sharing like tough things in their lives and stuff like that. It was always mitigated with some sort of laughter or some sort of joke. I know that really worked in terms of bringing the group together as well. Which is why today you're telling me that your Akash, who's also part of the project, is coming down to stay with you in Beat. And like there's connections still continue, which is really, really interesting. Yeah. What about you, Banal? What do you think about this? Was this something that you were thinking about when you sort of like had this idea of Blue Material? Or is this something that sort of organically happened over the past few years?
Extended stage time only. That was the main
Right.
objective. And then we are getting and now my objective changing to like, I mean, I hosted a few shows. I don't know, I usually host, he hosts, but then little bit I tried hosting a few shows in the last tour. So basically now it's just improving your skills, and now I experiment for a little bit with what I'm trying to say. Like I'm trying to make anti-caste jokes, like actively. Although I shouldn't. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, first my jokes are punching down. If you see my Twitter clip which you saw, all of that was confirming Dalit stereotypes, basically. But now it's like, now I'm finding upper caste stereotypes and trying to make jokes on that.
Right.
also, I keep saying, like I think I've said this before also a lot of time, that the plus point of talking about all these issues through comedy is there is no space to like because every time people are like this is 2023, nothing like this happens, Dalits are fine, you're just making shit up, there is always an argument about it. But when you are on stage with a mic and when you're saying jokes, people laugh at it, they listen, they acknowledge the problem. They're not, there is no space for argument, they are not denying shit,
Yeah.
So,
In that documentary, Kiran Tai, who was also a comic part of that entire process, she had this really beautiful line where she's like, the best part about this entire stand-up comedy thing is that it gives me a space to tell people a story. I'm not acting, I'm not moving, I'm not singing, I'm not dancing. I'm telling people a story. And for that 5-10 minutes, it helps people to imagine with me where I come from, what I'm doing, and really brings them into my world more than anything else. I think it's sort of like what you're talking about as well. And she also had another thing where she's like, more than anything, it taught me how to smile, learning how to do stand-up. And she's like this very, very senior, like was the president of the National Sex Workers Union in India. And like for a while, like she was like usually in that role, you assume this entire point of being very stern, very strong, and you have to play a certain role. And she's like, the entire idea of working with humor and comedy is sort of fun. Help me find a new sort of language to do this. And yeah, and I think that's beautiful. It's just like, how do you also open up those sort of ideas around these things? Yeah. How has been the reception to the work that you guys have been doing you guys have done 3 tours across India right now, from Bombay to Delhi to Bangalore to, I don't know, wherever. Hyderabad as well. What's been the reception generally from, maybe we'll start off with the audiences that you meet?
Crazy audiences. Everywhere, fucking some new characters only we meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been fun only. Like, basically, everybody has fun, then we all hang out after the show. Community gets built. The next show they'll get their other friends who haven't seen, and like that. And some people get offended also, but it's like a handful maybe.
Yeah.
One or two in like 2-3 shows. Not every show, but like, you know. So largely it has been fun only, like great party times.
Nice. What about the media and the coverage that you guys get as Blue Material by different like newspaper clips, articles? I mean, so when I was organizing these shows, like a bunch of the questions had to come through me to send to you guys as well. And like how I saw that there's a pattern in terms of like what people ask you, and like the way that people also write the articles around Blue Material. Which, how do you guys think about the way that they categorize the show or categorize you as comedians? Like, what's your take on all of that?
I feel like every journalist asks the same questions only. You also have pretty much asking the same questions only, and it's like become monotonous actually. He answering the same questions like, how did it start? Fucking what the trauma you faced? How has the reception been like? I'm like, you know, it's like there are so many articles out there now. अभी कितने लोगों को कितने बार same चीज़ बताएं, but it's like अभी करना पड़ता है, तो we're doing this now.
Right.
But then every person has different perspective towards our story, and they'll write what they understand about it.
For me, media reception has gotten monotonous. And this guy just recently gave it to us. Very recently he started.
What's your
it
take
is
on all
kind
of
of
this?
for me
The way that
getting
Tell David.
yeah, tell.
What take this
Your experience.
journalist wala
Yeah.
pura.
journalists, or just generally how people like how the show is being categorized or put in a, like, do you feel like it's been categorized in a certain way or framed in a certain way? Is there a certain gaze around it?
तो मैं भी जितने भी जर्नलिस्ट से बात करता है तो मैं भी उनको ये बोलता हूँ कि तुम लोग शो आके देखो, तुम लोग शो के पहले बात भी मत करो कि व्हाट्स द शो अबाउट, ये वही वो मैं बता के मतलब ही नहीं है. जस्ट कम एंड वॉच एंड देन हैव अनदर देन राइट अ रिव्यू अबाउट इट. पहले देख लो देन राइट अ रिव्यू अबाउट इट. ऐसे क्योंकि पहले से ही दे हैव एक होता है ऊपरी, मतलब जस्ट वो 2 चीज़ सुन के उन लोग के दिमाग में 10 सेट ऑफ चीज़ें अज्यूम हो जाती है कि अच्छा दिस इज गोना बी द शो. तो मे बी दैट्स नॉट द शो जो उन लोग सोच रहे हैं. तो आके चेक आउट एंड देन हैव. तो मेरा तो बस वही रहता है कि पहले शो देख लो, बाद में बात मतलब प्री शो बात करके मतलब ही नहीं है.
Right.
क्या पॉइंट है, क्या बात कर रहे हैं.
बात कर रहे हैं.
नहीं बट निहाल has seen
Yeah.
as well as context. There's context here. वहाँ पे context नहीं होता तो बात करके point ही नहीं लगता. ऐसा.
Right. What about like how do you think the rest of like the community in terms of like the activists, in terms of scholars, people who come and watch your shows, like what's been the reaction from them in terms of how do they say Blue Material within the wider sort of context of the work they do and all? How do you see your work within that context?
Basically,
as well?
in Blue Material, we see all these serious people, right, who are serious in their lives, who have this whole, education persona. We see them fucking go crazy after the show. Just, let loose and fucking. What was the question, by the way?
It's like how do other activists?
The
how they
activists
do-
love it the most. It gives them a place to be politically incorrect. To be like, I don't have to maintain this facade in front of the world. Here I can say blue shit with these guys.
Yeah.
And have fun. Yeah. And hear that shit, you know, so it's like fun only. Activists to have most fun actually.
The activists, PhD students, the professors.
But how do you guys also view your own idea around blue material within that wider space around like Dalit movements, Dalit politics, or Ambedkarite politics, or anti-caste movements, anti-caste politics? How do you guys view your own work within that right now?
We used to think about this a lot. बाद में हमने सोचना बंद कर दिया कि where exactly is our positioning, man?
It's much needed, bro. It's much
हाँ,
needed.
it's obviously मतलब but हम लोग खुद को ही नहीं पता है ना, शायद से clarity आ जाएगा वो शायद से थोड़े टाइम के बाद, अभी फिलहाल तो clarity नहीं, what is our
But like
positioning?
comedy is a new add-on to the movement, I think, and it's like light-hearted. We can be silly, you know, because as I said, entertainment has always been part of the Dalit movement.
Like I'm pretty sure हम लोग तीनों को we have most fun in performing in blue material room rather than a non-blue material room.
Yeah.
मतलब हाँ वो तो है मतलब हाँ.
So you guys have been at this for the last like 3-4 years. How do you guys imagine? Where do you see this going? What's the plan? What's the dream with it?
That blue material shouldn't be collective. Blue material should exist without three of us.
Yeah, मतलब that's our plan also.
That's the eventual plan.
Eventual plan. Yeah,
it becomes एक open mic up the space, the platform for the artists. Eventually, hopefully, if we are able to pull it off, right?
And you guys are, you mentioned before that you guys are looking at like also a wider thing of like anti-caste things. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about that also in terms of.
So like, this only, bro, to get anti-caste artists from all art forms together, not just comedy. Right now, I mean, I know we're diverting, you know, but like that's my thing. I don't necessarily think
diverting. How we are diverting?
नहीं कि रैपर भी आएंगे, सिंगर भी आएंगे, म्यूजिशियन भी आएंगे, तो बट और पार्टी से.
Is that the same imagination for you guys as well? Or?
Yeah.
I think one word that's been coming up a lot throughout the entire interview is this idea of anti-caste. What does it mean to each of you guys?
Oh, unlearning a lot of stuff, learning a lot of like a challenging जो भी सोसाइटी में चुतियाप हो रहा है, in whatever small ways you can. Even reading something and knowing about it is also a way to like challenge it. And anti-caste is this only, like, you know, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I'm also still figuring it out only.
For me, it's me being myself. Like,
अभी कौन पोएटिक हो रहा है? You know, people say कि nothing like this happens, you know, discrimination and all. But at the same time, when you ask me my name and when I tell you my name, your facial expression changes. I could see that. So it's still there.
And you guys would like to, how do you guys look at, who do you see as part of like this group of blue material, of an anti-caste group? Is it a wide imagination or is it, like who's part of this?
Anyone who is anti-caste and cool.
Ally.
And cool also.
And
Gangster.
Huge and.
Amazing.
Tell about Def Jam comedy, bro. Oh, Def Jam. The blue material initial inspiration was from Def Jam. Def Jam is all black lineup. It was बहुत पहले ये लोग हाँ सब पहले they started no.
So Def Jam is Def Jam comedy also. First it was a music record thing. They used to sign rappers and all, but then they started diverting into comedy also. So Def Jam became like a black revolution in the entertainment, like, you know. So maybe blue material, hopefully, if you know, I don't know, man.
It's our Def Jam only.
And Def Jam is basically, Def Jam has been a platform for many black comics, like Chris Tucker, Rush Hour wala. He also used to do stand-up in that. Any black comic you name in their younger days, they have performed at a Def Jam show.
8 minutes spot, 10 minutes spot, वैसे हाँ but like line up.
So जैसे जैसे और कॉमिक्स बढ़ते जाएंगे वैसे वैसे बढ़ता जाएगा फिर ब्लू मटेरियल होपफुली.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys, for doing this interview, and I really enjoyed it. I know you were like.
I had fun.
I hope you guys did enjoy it as well.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in to Against the Tide. So we are organizing a whole series of shows this weekend from the 25th, 26th, 27th to now. Today, where we're recording, we have the show in about like half an hour, 1 hour.
And this
at
goes up
Bara
when?
Terrace
This goes up when?
on tomorrow morning.
Fuck, this is so quick. This is what will happen. Fuck,
That's the
thanks.
plan.
Also follow Blue Material Gigs
Yes.
account.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blue Material
Blue
Gigs
Material
on
Gigs.
Instagram.
On Instagram.
We'll tag it. And also, there's shows tomorrow. I mean, on the 26th at BIC at 7 p.m. and at Shunya at 9 p.m. And on the 27th, there's a show at our theatre at 6 p.m. in Koramangala and at 8:30 p.m. at Beru Art Space in Ramurthy Nagar. So please do catch
And
the
on
show.
2nd
Yeah.
September, I'm doing my 1 hour show in Bangalore. So come for that also, guys.
Chant पे लेके चलो.
Yeah.